I'm the Alchemist Astrologer, and this is your May forecast for Aries Sun, Aries Rising, and Aries Moon. So let's get to the heart of the matter. You're experiencing some kind of worry, remorse, regret, guilt, and you may be overwhelmed by a circumstance. And the underlying energy that's driving it is this breakthrough in communication or travel. Perhaps that's happened or you're hoping for it. So you feel a sense of worry about something that may be causing you so much stress that it's keeping you up. Now, maybe you're anxious to get going on something that ties to a celebration. It could be to travel, to open a new doorway of possibility, but you are feeling some anxiety about that. And again, you may be overwhelmed. Maybe you regret something that you bought. It could be a luxury item, or you're anxious to go shopping. There could be worries centered around shopping and illness given the current set of circumstances. For some of you, maybe there's confusion. Somebody literally just fell down the rabbit hole. They haven't been able to, you haven't been able to connect with them. And so they literally have disappeared. In other cases, this is hoping for some kind of an adventure where you may be anxious to get going and travel or celebrate. But you are definitely looking at where you're investing your energy and whether you're scattering it, putting it in too many places. You may be overwhelmed by the options available to you. If you're involved in a romantic relationship, either you or a partner may be worried that the other one has more options available to them. So you are, thinking about some choices and whether they are the right choices, perhaps the choices that you're making, the choices that other people are making. There are some decisions that have to be made, some options to be considered, and you're going to have to recognize which ones hold merit and value and which ones are merely illusions. Now, for some of you, there may be an illness where you're dealing with some kind of addiction. Could be a sexual addiction, a drug addiction, alcohol. There's some worries connected to that. There's some worries about, again, your choices and whether you have your priorities in order. You may be looking at others and worried about the pain that they're feeling, the suffering that they're going through. This may tie to, what's happening in the world right now or someone connected to you closely. So you're worried about whether they're making the right choices, the right decisions. Maybe you even have the inclination to step up and fight their battles for them. But you're coming to realize that you have a responsibility to yourself. They have a responsibility to themselves, and everybody has the right to make their own personal choices. You are needing to look at what is most important and work according to that list from top to bottom. And you may find that ultimately your fears are unfounded, that there's plenty of time for you to devote to things that mean something to you. In other cases, you may be worried because you've overbooked, you've overscheduled, you have too many things going at once. Your hands are in too many pots, there are too many fires going, and you're constantly feeling as if you are a day late and $1 short. So you're always behind, and that's problematic. So that's at the heart of your situation. Now, in the past, you were juggling, and maybe you were overwhelmed with the responsibilities that you were juggling. Maybe, you're focused on a gift of some sort, pursuing a dream, a talent. Perhaps you're overwhelmed, you're confused about what to buy. As soon as the money comes in, it has to go out. So you find yourself on this endless loop. Now, maybe you're successfully navigating all of these options. Maybe you're buying some luxury items. And maybe, there's something that you were hoping for, dreaming of purchasing. Or maybe you're looking at where some purchases have been unrealistic. You are on this emotional roller coaster, riding the tide of ups and downs, either financially or emotionally. Now, perhaps you've got a lot of options. You're choosing between two opportunities, maybe two relationships. For some of you, this could be a job offer, the prospect of travel. But for others of you, you're overwhelmed because you don't have enough of something. And you are having to juggle your meager resources and, try to shuffle that to meet your needs. So you may be under some kind of fluctuating circumstance where you're overwhelmed or confused, operating under an illusion or dealing with projections, your own or that of others. And you're very determined, maybe, juggling the lack of confusion, not being able to pin something down, is starting to wear on you. You are determined to cross a finish line, to meet a goal, an objective, reach the destination point. And yet you're beginning to wonder if you can take on any more stress. Something is physically taxing your strength. Now, it could be because you have so many responsibilities. It could be your emotional concerns. Again, it could be some kind of addiction problem. Maybe, you're dealing with a drug or prescription. Or it could be an actual illness, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. So you're trying to, remain stoic, survive in the face of some kind of difficulty. And thus far, you're still standing. You want to know that you can protect yourself. You're having to trust your emotions, your intuition, or whether you feel like you're protected and supported by others. So you may be, again, weighing your options. You're very determined to make the right choice, and yet you may not know exactly what that is. But the 9 of Wands says you are close. Now, this is in the past. You are close to a finish line, or you came up close to it. And specifically because you drew on your experience. You don't let your emotions overwhelm you. You recognize why you're at this critical juncture, this impasse, and you're successfully navigating what's going on. You're allowing your wisdom to guide you rather than your emotions. You're becoming more objective, and you're also understanding your role in a certain circumstance. And that's going to take you a long way. However far you feel you are from that finish line, you are closer than you think. So that was in the past. But currently, you are trying to avoid something. Something where it may hold an element of anger or where passion was involved. It could be somebody that you were passionately involved with once. Perhaps you're trying to avoid that situation. Or you're actively involved in it in some kind of secret love affair, or trying to get away with something, or trying to do something through the back door, under the radar, incognito. Now, whatever's going on, integrity is going to come into focus, either yours or that of others, and that may be causing some kind of anxiety. There could be actual theft or deceit, or again, just trying to get away with something. It could be as small as stealing someone's ideas. Maybe you're worried that somebody's going to steal your idea, or steal something that you value or care about. Or perhaps you feel guilt because you yourself have done something duplicitous or misleading. But this is also being overwhelmed because maybe you've got a lot going on. You're going back and forth. Maybe you've got a lot of errands. You're going from one place to the other. And perhaps for some of you, this involves relocation, even if that's temporarily. Maybe you're relocating to some kind of shelter that deals with addictions, compulsions. Maybe you're avoiding wasting your energy or time. And this is going to be an opportunity for you to remove yourself from situations that have nothing to do with you. So you may be looking at where you have been wasting time, where people are stealing from you emotionally, financially, time-wise, and you trying to avoid that. You also have the Hermit. So for some of you, there's a strong tie to a Virgo person, but for others of you, you're coming into some type of awareness. Now, maybe you're worried about being alone. Maybe you're worried about health. Maybe you're seeking some kind of space to gather your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. But you may also find yourself involved in some kind of confrontation. Because again, relationships are under scrutiny. And there's an area of conflict where knowledge is being used to overpower. Somebody may feel morally superior, intellectually more knowledgeable. They know more about how something should be done than you do, or vice versa, and that creates a conflict. So this card represents a spiritual lesson in humility, learning to observe what others say, what they do, and what the relationship is between the two, or yourself. Because again, your own character and behavior may be under the spotlight. Do you show up in the manner that you speak? Now, for some of you, you are anxious to maybe travel. Maybe you're a travel writer. Maybe you're writing a book. You go from place to place, or you're gathering some information, or you're avoiding coming into some awareness. You don't want to know a truth. Or maybe, again, you're avoiding some kind of confrontation. But something is urging you to listen and observe, to get in touch with your intuition, your inner self, to get some spiritual guidance or connect to someone who can offer that to you. So you may have ties to spirituality or education of some sort. You may be spending more time alone, and maybe you're anxious or worried about that. The Hermit card says that there are issues connected to being logical as opposed to rashly acting on something, not taking good advice, not heeding a warning. And so you may be looking at your friendships, the groups that you connect to, and whether you are of like mind with others. So again, something is coming into your awareness about an illness, anxiety, depression, something that maybe you're trying to avoid, or something where you need to come up with some kind of strategy. Now, maybe you're avoiding going back and forth. You're trying to avoid poverty. Maybe you're coming up with a strategy because you don't have enough information. It could be, again, you're working on some kind of research project, or you're working on your health, your emotional well-being. There's some kind of confusion where you've been struggling and determined to protect yourself, or you're worried about protecting someone else. And what does the future hold for you? You have the Devil, the World, and the Chariot. So you have some major lessons headed your way in the future, largely out of your control. So you're dealing with the Devil card. You may be in close contact with a Capricorn person, or perhaps parental or authority figures are in focus. Your own authority, your own parenting role. You may be focused on time delays, responsibilities, obligations, extra burdens, troublesome circumstances created through authority figures. Whatever this is, you are also looking at issues of selfishness or greed, and the lesser parts of yourself or the shadow parts of other people. There's some attachment here that is unhealthy. Some kind of obsession, fear, pessimism that is restrictive in nature. It's a self-perpetuating habit that is keeping you or someone else in bondage given their unhealthy choices. Now, for some of you, perhaps this is a fear. You have a worry about protecting yourself. And so perhaps there's a fear that you're going to be exploited. You're going to be taken advantage of. You want to help, but you don't want to step into the fray. And this is saying that you're having to look at your sense of decency. And remember, that's a question with the Seven of Swords. Now, for some of you, this is an obligation. You're confused about what your duty and obligations are. Should you remove yourself, step out of a situation that has nothing to do with you? Maybe you have an obligation to relocate, or you're avoiding your obligations. But whatever it is, you're looking at some unhealthy belief system or attachment that's no longer serving you. And it may have to do with opening up your heart to being more generous, more loving, more kind. Perhaps somebody is restricting the love or the generosity. You're also dealing with the world, so there could be some travel restrictions or health restrictions or obligations connected to those. And with the World card, you are closing out some kind of cycle. Something is coming back full circle. And you're having to look at what you believe about something. You're taking an assessment in the hopes of the best possible outcome, which means that you're going to have to be tolerant of the views of others, because you are going to be challenged on your beliefs, your value system, and your ability to forgive and act in compassion. You may be coming in contact with foreigners, with people whose background differs vastly from yours, philosophically, spiritually, financially, ethnically, culturally, and you're going to have to be open to that. So for some of you, your expression, maybe you are opening yourself up. Maybe you're expressing something over the internet to the world. You're dealing with world affairs. You're also looking at health concerns, boundary issues. What are you capable of? Are you exceeding those boundaries? Are you going above and beyond in your responsibilities? Are you taking on too much? Are you promising too much? Or are your fears limiting you from helping others because of the fear of being exploited? Because the devil says that you may be prone to yielding to some kind of petty temptation, or you are recognizing where you are vulnerable or others are. You also have the Chariot card, so there's a strong focus on meeting a goal. And you're having to look at whether you're being decent in the pursuit of that goal. Are you insensitive to the needs of others? Are you overriding others' concerns in order to meet your own goal? Where's the target? The Chariot card says you're going to have to work with others. There may be issues that come about that draw up your insecurities, your fears. It triggers your ego. It makes you angry. And you may be acting on those moods, those emotions. And perhaps your emotions or moods are having a greater effect than you realize. You're having to make sure that you keep your eye on the prize, that you're not rash, impulsive, or reckless, and that things get out of control. So it's likely that there's some kind of concern that deals with travel or communication. Could be romantic in nature, professional, but there could be some kind of delays or miscommunication or changes that occur that affect your schedule, your financial capabilities. You're going to have to come up with a different strategy, which means that you may need to reconcile the shadow parts of yourself or come face to face with the shadow parts of others. But whatever it is, you're going to have to work out those differences. This is about working with others, taking a leadership role in your own strength and falling back and allowing others to take the lead when necessary. For some of you, this again is going to get off track. You're going to end up doing something that costs more than you would expect, whether that's travel or some kind of change. But it could be that this alteration that's necessary doesn't cost you what you think. So there's the wisdom of traveling or getting involved in some kind of conflict or moving forward in something. This is about synergistic energy, not being apathetic about a situation. So again, there's some kind of dream that you have. Maybe you're in search of some kind of adventure. And you're having to look at whether that's realistic. You're having to trust your intuition about whether you can offer support or you will be receiving that. And there's passion behind this, or it could be anger. You may be celebrating something. It could be, a connection to a friend or something you believe in with others, a group dynamic, where you open yourself up to love, the wisdom of speaking in kindness or acting with an open heart or with a generous nature. Now, the issue is this Seven of Swords and this Two of Pentacles. Going back and forth about what you should avoid, or feeling an emotional roller coaster about trying to get away with something, or trying to avoid something, or weighing your options and coming up with a viable strategy. There's also a problem area, this worry about whether you have enough, or going over something again and again, going back and forth about it. Maybe you're worried again about travel, a job offer, opportunities, juggling two different partners, not having enough of something. Those are the issues that are keeping you up at night. Now you're doing a review, again, of some opportunity. You're on the threshold of something, and you're having to decide whether you want it. Do you really want it? You're having to trust your instincts about whether it is an asset or a liability to you. It could be as simple as you want to prove yourself to yourself or to someone else. You want vindication for the choices that you've made. This is very self-directed energy, self-motivated, driven by your own ego. And so you're going to have a clear picture of circumstances before you just act on an assumption. Because if you get the facts wrong, you could fail. But if you act out of fear or you don't move forward out of fear, someone else is willing to step in your place and grab the opportunity. So there's a dilemma that you're struggling with, some uncertainty, some doubt as to whether you should wait until the tide turns. Do you have enough information? Are you holding your emotions back that are important? Are you not feeling what you need to? Are you involved in some kind of struggle that either you're creating or you find yourself in the middle of? So for you, there's some frustration that you're dealing with in different areas, largely due perhaps to a conflict of interest. And the energy advises you to be very watchful, very cautious. And you have 4 major cards in this reading. So there's a considerable amount of energy that is beyond your control that is offering you some kind of leap in consciousness or spiritual evolution. Every one of these major cards holds a key for you to unlock that would allow you to not feel overwhelmed by your current circumstances. So the Hermit card advises you to be logical, to detach from situations, to not get emotional about them. Try to maintain a philosophical approach where your eye is open to the truth of yourself, to others, and that you hear clearly what's being said and whether it's truth or not, so that you can make good decisions for yourself and move forward. The devil says you're going to have to be decent in all that you do. You hold a great deal of influence right now, and so you're going to have to use that influence wisely, not to manipulate others, but to the benefit of all. So your integrity will be questioned, or that of others. You're going to have to recognize where you're vulnerable to pettiness as well as others. And the World card says, in spite of whatever restrictions, obligations that are before you, you're going to have to maintain your sense of optimism and enthusiasm. You're going to have to be compassionate, both with yourself and others, which means actively practicing forgiveness. So if you need to make a fresh start, move in a different direction, do something new, begin anew, you can do it cleanly. So you should avoid being impractical. It's knowing what you're capable of and not overreaching or not underreaching. And the Chariot card says, you're going to have to be willing to work with others in order to meet a goal rather than being apathetic. So 2 numbers are very important for you during this period. The number 7 and the number 9. And the number 7 says that you're going to experience a loss of stability brought on by some kind of new awareness. Number 7 holds a spiritual quality, and so the character of the element of 7 is going to be tested. So for you, that means emotions, thought processes, head versus heart. So you're meant to reach for some kind of spiritual or philosophical solution. But above all, you're going to have to be patient. This is a process. And you're looking at your partnerships, whether you're constructive in the way you deal with people or self-destructive, how you handle others in your relationships, or how you allow yourself to be handled, both personally and professionally. The 9 speaks of final results, reaching some kind of culmination. So this is a highly significant and spiritual period for you, which will reveal how your choices in the past are now coming home to roost. And the choices that you have to make are a result of previous choices that you've made before. So whatever's going on is going to test or reward your belief system, your values, your understanding. And whatever objective you're going after is going to come about in a manner that alters your perspective, and it's meant to. So whatever's going on is going to inspire you to take something you've already been dealing with to the next level or start something new. And whatever's happening is going to unfold very quickly or escalate more quickly, although it's going to take a while before your issues are resolved to your satisfaction. Now let's look at the question, the big question for the month of April. You have, what do I resist feeling right now? And maybe this is this avoidance, the fear, the pessimism, the restrictive nature, the feeling overwhelmed, feeling as if you've got to protect yourself. We have to feel it to heal it. In order to let go of pain, we first have to honor its existence. Emotions are like waves. Some are soft, some are fierce, some are layered, and some will sweep you off your feet. When we allow ourselves to feel it all, we can then release what no longer serves us. So if you're worried about trying to avoid a situation, you're going to have to come face to face, come to terms with it. Your victory lies in meeting a challenge head on to overcome any obstacles. And the answer is, don't look back. So once you work through your emotions fully, you acknowledge whatever it is welling up inside of you, you will have a breakthrough in your communication. This says that something is going to move quickly. Something is arriving. Change is imminent. An unexpected encounter, some unexpected news, a psychological breakthrough that allows you to move forward. Are you ready to get on board? This could be to launch something, start something, begin something, wrap something up. Or if you're not ready, something's going to run right ramshod over you. So resist the pushback on what you feel. Be determined to work through it. And then when you do, you won't have to look back.